Hi, everyone. Today we're going to dive into Amp Up Your Teaching. We're going to be reviewing different strategies and ideas that you can use in your classroom to support your learners. There are multiple different resources going to be available within this template. So again, we're going to explore different ways that you can engage your students by game-based learning, interactive learning, using multimedia. And so go ahead and dive in. Right here is the link that you're going to need for today's session. You can either type it into your browser and then sign up using Google, or you can sign in, I believe, as a guest as well. If you're having issues accessing this link, feel free to reach out to me. My email information is right here. So I'm your host today. I'm Stephanie Howell. I am a teacher success champion over at Cami. I'm also the founder of Gold EDU. So again, we're going to review a lot of different strategies and ideas, and I would love for you, as you're watching, to kind of do like a side-by-side view where you might take your computer, this window, and make it side like that, and then have your other window with YouTube up. So again, here is the web link to join the collaborative activity. This first activity right here is where we're going to dive in. If you need the resources, there's also the resources right here where it says slides. And all of the resources are going to be in this presentation where you're able to come in, find the resource, and then there will be a Cami link or some type of link that you will be able to click. And then once you click that resource, over to the side, you're going to have this Google slide and the YouTube video to go around with it. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I love that idea, but I forget exactly how to implement it, right here's the video for each individual video, okay? So just keep that in mind as we're going through all of these different strategies. Another thing I just want you to be aware of is if you have to request access to any resource, you might just need to join the Gold group. So right here is the group. You'll just click that link, join the group, and then you'll have access to an amazing PLN and all the resources found inside. So let's go ahead and start talking about this first strategy. So first up, we've got Connect 4. With Connect 4, what students are able to do is they are able to play this game, and you have all of the different answers, or maybe you provide the questions in these little circles. Students, if they're using Cami, are going to grab the comment tool. They're going to grab the voice comment feature, come in and pick one of these words, fart, and they're going to record their voice. Students can answer by text comment, video comment, however they want to answer. Students are able to answer using, again, these different multimedia to share their thoughts and demonstrate their learning. Students will play against a partner. And so one student might be this maroon color, where another student might be the green color. And what they're trying to do is they are trying to come in, get 4 in a row. And so when they have successfully done that, let me go ahead and try to get 4 in a row here. Students will come in, use the drawing tool or the markup tool, highlight that they've got 4 in a row. You can have the students keep playing, and then the student with the most 4 in the rows at the end of the game wins. Or you could say, okay, first, 4 in a row, we'll start over, and students can come up here to the menu bar, and they are really able to delete all their annotations and replay that game if that's something that you want them to kind of rinse and repeat. Again, you can put multiplication, the answers in here, and students have to figure out the equation. Or I could put 3 times 3 in the box, and students have to tell you the answer. So you can use this template, again, in multiple different ways. That resource is right here. And then once you see that resource, you'll go to that number. And then once you're on that page, you're going to be able to click, and then you'll be able to explore that video or that resource to update for your students and what they need. This next one is finish the picture. Students are going to grab the drawing tool. And what they're going to do is they're going to finish this picture for their drawing. So they have to finish the picture and use their knowledge about ancient Egypt. So maybe right here, I'm drawing a mummy, right? And so again, students, I usually set a timer. You can do that by going to Add Media, YouTube, and then I can open up YouTube and I'm able to find maybe like a 5-minute timer. Once I have that timer, I copy the URL video, and then I can just place it right into Cami. It's going to play that timer, and then students have 5 minutes to quickly go through and create as many ancient Egypt examples as they can. And then what you could do after that time is up, have them, again, level up that DOK level, and have them come in, leave a voice, audio, or even a video comment about what they created. You could have students do this independently, or you could assign this to each student in your class. If you assign this to each student in your class, you can then use ClassView, which is an amazing resource in Kami. It's part of the premium version. If you also want to give Kami a try, feel free to email me, and I'm happy to send you over a coupon code where you can explore more. So again, my email's here if you're like, okay, I really want to try what Stephanie's doing here. And what you can do is email me. So I hit create a Kami assignment. And what I would do is I would upload that assignment. Again, you need the Kami extension in order for that Kami assignment to appear. Once I do that, I can go into that assignment, view those instructions, and then I can view ClassView. And again, with ClassView, I'm able to see all of my students at the exact same time. And so if we were doing this activity in our ClassView, I could see everybody's screens, and as they're working, and I could come in and provide feedback or ask them additional questions to make their thinking even deeper on this topic. So again, you can either assign this as a collaborative group. And what I love about collaborative activities is if you're on this document and you try to delete one of my annotations, you're going to be unable to do that. That was a huge barrier in my classroom. When I was teaching, I would share a collaborative document and my students would change all of the slides to black. They would even delete the student work. However, in Kami, if you're trying to delete this line, that trash can is not going to show up for you. It is showing up for me because this is my creation. Also, as a teacher, you will be able to delete any annotation that you might need to. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Next up is virtual help desk. This is where students used to just need constant help. And so what they can do is they can come in, use that comment tool, and they can ask a question or tell me what they need help with. They can use that text comment. Maybe they need to use the bathroom. They can let me know, and then I can come in as a teacher and say, okay, go ahead and go. I can see that it's time-stamped. So if I forget what time they use that bathroom, I can come back to that comment and say, okay, it took you, 10 minutes. What's going on? So again, you're able to come in, use these different tools. If students are having issues with a problem and you're helping another group, they could screen capture the problem that they're experiencing, add it onto the help desk, and then you can watch, help them, or even other students could come in and answer those questions as well. Read it, roll it, and respond to it. Students are going to roll a dice. Once they roll a dice, they're then going to analyze one of the questions. So they're going to answer one of the questions. So first, they're going to read The Three Little Pigs, which is a story. After they read that Three Little Pigs, they're going to roll that dice. Again, you could either add a YouTube video in for the roll it. You could also, with that roll it, have students use physical dice. Students will roll that dice, and then what they're going to do, let's say I scored a number 3, they're then going to compare and contrast the characters. One thing that I could do is if they did roll a number 3, is my students, or if I'm using that class view, I could come in to add media. Right here it says graphic organizers, and they could grab a compare and contrast chart, add it to their document, and then start beginning to characterize and compare the pigs, versus the wolf. And then students can come in, add to this graphic organizer what is different, what's similar, and really compare those two characters in this story. So again, there is Add Media, and there's so many resources in Add Media that students are able to use these graphic organizers to support their learning. This next one, what I like to do is it's called Mystery Predictions. And I like to come into the shapes, and I like to fill my shape, and I like to hide these boxes so my students can't see them. And I'm just going to leave prediction number 1 open. You could use this with any subject. This example right here is with ELA. I've taken words from a text, Touching Spirit Bear, and the students are going to have different predictions for this text. So again, they're going to have different predictions based on the text. What students are going to then do is they're going to then make a prediction. So they're going to use the comment tools. And again, they can use text, audio, or even video. If I wanted to, I could come in and do a feature controls, which would allow my students to not have all of the tools over in their toolbar. They're only allowed to have certain tools available to them. So that's really important to note as well. So now that my students are going through these predictions, I can then take these boxes and remove them. So prediction 1, maybe they make a prediction based on that prediction, but now they have 2 pieces of textual evidence. They're going to now make another prediction based on this second option when it comes to that quote. Then I will remove again that third box. Students now have 3 pieces of textual evidence, and they have their peers' responses if you're doing this in a collaborative document on Kami. And then they can add in additional thoughts and ideas when it comes to prediction number 3. Again, delete number 4, delete number 5, and then delete number 6. And then finally, we have a really strong prediction because students have been given 6 different pieces of textual evidence. Maybe you're doing this with science. You might do facts about space. Maybe you want to do this with history and it's certain times of an event or dates or important people. So again, you can do this again with any subject. You do it at the beginning of the unit where students really have to kind of think about, okay, what is it that I'm about to learn in this story? All right, so the unfair game. This is a great way to engage your students with that game-based learning. So students won't get a copy of this game. But what's going to happen is right here, I've got the unfair game board. And what happens is students are going to answer a question. So first, they might answer, what's 2 plus 2? They're going to say 4, right? If they get that correctly, students will then pick a number from this board. If students pick a number, let's say they pick number 15, they have to decide if they want to keep it or give it to another team. So does team number 1, they've got 20 points right now. Do they want to keep number 15 or do they want to give it to team 4? They're going to keep it. So I'm going to click on 15. We open up that box, plus 20. I go back home and I cross off the number 15 off the board because I do not let my students reopen. You might have a different rule. Feel free to decide what your rule is. So there's 15. And now my students have, I'm going to go ahead and kind of erase this. So now my students have that 40 points. Okay, so again, students answer question, what's 3 plus 3? 6. They pick a number, 8. Do you want to keep it or give it away? Team 2 is going to keep it. We open up 6, they get 20 points. I click back home and I add 20 points to their score. Sometimes there are negative, sometimes there's positive points. It really just depends on what's behind the box. Sometimes you might have noticed that there's a swap points too. So students love this game. You can either play with a timer, and as soon as the time is up, that's all that they get, or you could play until every single box is open from your screen. So you can kind of decide how you want to organize this within your classroom to support all of your learners. Now with this one, we've got this B right here. And what we're trying to figure out is we've got to work together to build our vocabulary. Again, I typically do this activity at the start of the lesson. And we're looking at this B. And so students are going to come in and they might use the text box. I also like to share this as a collaborative document and share it with my students that way. You could assign this again through your learning management system, assign it through Google Classroom. But right here is this bumblebee. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that text box and I'm going to write, it's a bug, right? This is maybe the head. And they're just going to start labeling as much as they can about this little insect, right? And then I usually, again, I go to add media, set up that timer for my students to label all of the different resources within this activity. Okay, so let's go ahead and do more with that text box. I'm going to do body. And then what happens is we come together as a class and I tell them, hey, think of some synonyms, that might go with this. And we continue to label different words. I point out what students shared, what they said about this insect, right? Instead of bug, we call this an insect. And students can, again, come in, we're labeling maybe the petals, or having conversation now with what they said about this different activity. They could use that drawing tool to also label. And we're having really great discussion about how students are able to label. They're learning synonyms for the vocabulary words, and it's helping build that prior knowledge about the upcoming unit as well. I've seen teachers use like 4 different pictures where students will do this with 4 activities along the way. Emojis are a great way to engage your learners as well. So right here with Emoji Connection, students, again, I love to use timers. So I go in and add a YouTube video for this activity. Students are going to have about 15 minutes, and they're going to try to find as many things that they have in common with these different emojis with their partner. So with their partner, they might say, we both won something this year. So they're going to draw. This makes a great back to school activity. Students will then maybe come over and say, like, during the summer, we both went to the pool. So again, they're trying to make as many connections as they can with their partner. They're having conversations, they're working together as a group. They're really looking at these emojis and trying to say, okay, what is it, that emoji could symbolize to show our similarities. Throughout the year, you could have this same activity be shared with your students, and maybe instead of comparing with a partner, they have to do it with the concept that they're learning. So maybe it is ELA. They just read a book. They have to make connections with the character. How do these emojis connect with what the conflict that character is going through? Maybe they are learning about science. How does potential energy relate to all of these different emojis that are kind of being at play? So again, it's taking that level of your students to that next level to really get them to think about their learning and to engage in the content. Right here, we've got a quick way to get students thinking more creatively. This is the innovation challenge. And what happens here is you have to have your students design a creation, design something, and you can kind of fill in the blank with what you want this topic to be. I've used these in quick morning meetings where students work together to collaborate. And again, it's just a quick brainstorm to get them thinking outside the box and creating that yes and classroom community. I've also seen where teachers will have this be related to their curriculum. So maybe instead of blow your nose for a rock climber, this is about the conflict in the story that you're just reading about. Maybe it's the best way to design a roller coaster, right? Maybe it's the best way to implement something in history, right? And so students, again, they're gaining knowledge, they're gaining their creativity by completing this activity. Students can use any of the tools built into Kami, and they're able to come in here and draw, say, type, whatever they want to do, grab media from the web and add their ideas here. So maybe it's like a handkerchief. Maybe it is like some type of like gun that soaks up your burgers, right? And so again, they're coming up with 4 different ideas. Again, I love to insert that timer into my slides as well. As students are brainstorming these different ideas, then what happens is they are going to sketch the innovation that they love best. So maybe I really loved idea number 2. They're going to sketch that idea again right here. Students, of course, throughout the process are getting peer feedback from their colleagues. So throughout this process, they're getting that peer feedback from their friends and ideas. If you're an instructional coach, you could change this, to design a better way to have your checkout process be. And again, teachers could work together to create a new routine that's been a really big problem within their classroom, within their work. So again, have your students come in, they sketch 4 ideas, share that peer feedback, they pick one and keep going with it in their pitch. They then have to explain how it's going to work, name their product, come up with a slogan. Again, you could change what's expected for the pitch based on your content area and what skills you want to build within your students. Tic Tac Booya, what you're going to do is I usually have an activity for my students with questions. And students will come in and they are going to answer those questions. So answer, and then if they get it correct, they get to keep their little dot up on the board. Again, there's different teams by different colors. And this goal is to get 4 in a row. Students are trying to block each other from getting that 4 in a row as well. And so again, they might come in, there's 3, but then they're going to come here and they're going to block it. So again, the goal is to get as many answers as they can on the board before the timer is up or before all boxes are filled. Once students do have 4 in a row, what they do is they come in here, they use that markup tool, and they highlight that they've gotten those 4 in a rows. And then they keep playing. Or you could say, hey, we're just going to stop. First team to get 4 in a row is our winner. Or again, you could keep playing. And so then maybe another team gets 4 in a row. And then the team with the most at the end of the game is the winner for Tic Tac Booya. Here's a fun exit ticket that your students can do. You can either have them do it all at once, or you could say, okay, the check-in is for Monday. And so then students would work on this check-in just for Monday. On Tuesday, they would do hashtag. Wednesday, the sketch. Thursday, mind map. And Friday, they'd rank it. Or again, you could say, okay, it's Friday. We're going to just review. We're going to reflect on our learning at the end of the week. Students will come in and use the tools again within Kami, and they're able to highlight their understanding of the check-in. They can create a hashtag of their new learning. Students can also come in and they can draw what they just learned about. They can write out different words about different topics that they just learned about when it comes to, space or whatever. And then they're going to rank it from the most interesting things that they learned this week to the least. So again, they're going to come up with their top 3 things that they've learned this week. I'm working on it. This is how you can track your students as they're working through different material. I can come over here to add media. And what I usually have my students do is grab that camera tool. They smile. They add their little image onto the document. And then as they're working through these different self-paced activities, they can move their little image along the board. This allows me to know where my students are at, what they're working on, and I can even pull small groups to say, okay, anybody on the mastery, practice check number 1, come see me. Come see me before you do that. And then I can kind of say, okay, yep, they're good. They can move on. And then students are able to move on along their activity. Chance, this is a great way to collect evidence for maybe your evaluation. And what I like to do is you can do behavior. You can also do questions. And what happens is as students are maybe behaving correctly, they come in and they do a reflection on what they did to earn that space. So for example, maybe I was working great with a partner. However, this student comes right here, and this student was maybe got homework in on time this week. Okay, so students get to come in and they get to make those marks on this game board. What happens is at the end of the goals time, after all boxes have been filled, and maybe every single buddy in my class was amazing, I like to do these little stars. What happens is I then pick a number, 1 through 100. Sometimes I like to call the teacher down the hallway and say, hey, can you pick a number between 1 and 100? And they will pick that number between 1 and 100, and they will be able to really start to think about their learning. And I'm able to say, okay, number 65 is our winner. This person would then get a prize out of the prize box or whatever they were working towards. Another thing right here is I can see that maybe the star got chosen. So maybe it was number 26. If the star gets chosen, the entire class gets the prize. So maybe it is some type of candy, maybe it's outside recess, whatever it is, everybody gets that prize for answering that question correctly on their own board. Our next activity is gamble or guarantee. With this activity, students will have some questions. And with their questions, they are going to have to decide if they want to guarantee or if they want to gamble their answer. So here again in those resources is the resource for this activity. Students answer a question, they decide gamble or guarantee, and then they answer the question. So here they would answer number 1, and maybe they put that they want to gamble, right? So maybe they highlight, you could use highlight with the blue in this color, and then they say, okay, round one, I'm going to gamble. If they gamble, it could be any number, negative or positive. If it's a guarantee, they are for sure getting 1,000 points. So again, students come in, answer the question, and then you reveal the answer. So if they get it correct, maybe it's what's 2 plus 2? 4. All right, do you want to gamble or guarantee? Students make that choice. They highlight it on their document. And then, oh, I gambled. I lost negative 4,000 points. So then students come in. They can use that drawing tool, the text box, whatever they want to do, and they write in their score. They answer number 2. All right, do I want to gamble or guarantee? I want to guarantee this time because last time it did not go so well for me. So I'm going to highlight it first. Oh, forgot to change the color. Let's do yellow. Okay. So I know for sure I'm going to get 1,000. I then again reveal the answers. This time they would have got 4,000 if they gambled. Students love this game. Again, you can play until the end of the timer or until you have as many questions as you do. Once you're done, you can have them add up their scores and put the total here, and then the student with the most points at the end of the game wins some type of prize. Vocabulary sketches. This is another fun way to engage your students. Here is energy. Students will come in and they will write the definition right here. So they're going to write that definition right here. In Kami, there's also a dictionary tool. So if students don't know what energy is, they can actually highlight that word, grab that dictionary, and paste it right into that box if you wanted them to. If you didn't want them to copy and paste and you wanted them to paraphrase, you could use that control features and actually turn off copy and paste so your students would not be able to do that as well. Okay, so now that I've got my definition in this box, I then am going to have my students sketch. They're going to draw what energy might look like. Then they're going to go over to non-living, living, and so on. So again, they have this really great vocabulary sketches of all of their different words. And maybe you didn't want them to sketch. Maybe you wanted them to act it out. Well, guess what? You can go to add media, camera. You could have their students record a video of them acting out that vocabulary word, finishing it, and adding that video right into where it says sketches. You would just change that to video. So again, a lot of these different templates can be customized, updated for exactly what you need for your students to be successful in this activity. Today's goal, this is where students will come in and they have to reflect. They're going to tell me, how are they feeling today? So students, again, can use the markup tool or that drawing tool. Students will then kind of think, do I need a personal check-in? Yes or no? I'm able to assign this again through my learning management system, check in on all my students, how they're doing and how they might need additional support. And I can really see how my students are doing on this activity to provide them with that learning and those additional scaffolds if needed. Students can let me know if they're on pace, behind pace, or ahead of pace. And a lot of times what I like to do for this activity is I like to use roadmaps. So roadmaps are right here. I might set a goal of, okay, today's goal is number 4. Students will let me know if they're on number 4, if they're ahead of pace, or if they're behind number 4 is what that question is asking. Students will then develop a goal. Again, they can type, say it with their voice, or even videotape it. And then they're going to tell me what they've accomplished. They're going to kind of go through and share what they've accomplished to make this a successful lesson and their learning. Which one doesn't belong? Students are going to come on to this activity and look at the 4 different options and decide which one doesn't belong. But before they make their decision, they have to justify it. They have to justify why, what are all of the reasons that this image just might not belong. So again, students have to come in and justify first, the basketball is not brown. This is not a circle. This is not, has sprinkles on it or whatever. This is not edible. Students come in, list all of the reasons, and then before they make their final choice, they reflect on those reasons and they make the best decision based on what they justified in their response. For sound effects predictions, what happens here is students will listen to a video clip. And once they listen to that video clip, then what happens is students are going to make a prediction. So this video clip right here, it has some wind sounds. It kind of sounds like it's cold. And so again, students will kind of take their knowledge of what they're about to learn, and they're going to make that prediction. So what are we maybe about to learn? Again, I go to add media. I'm going to insert this video link. They listen to this clip, and then they come in and record their prediction about what they think this is going to be about. Choice board. Students are going to explain, sketch, or record. So using that comment tool, they have 3 different options on how they are going to respond. So again, providing that deep learning for students and allowing them to choose how they respond is going to be huge for our students. This last one is, here's what I'm thinking. Students' names will be replaced with where it says student. Everybody will grab a comment box and they are going to share their reflections on the topic with this template. Students, again, have choice on how they respond by video or by sketching or by recording their answer. You can also come in and you're able to hide annotations. So right here where it says hide comments, you can click that button. And what happens is instead of it popping on the side, it's just going to pop up right here. And then when I come over to this student, I can hover over and see their response. After students think first, then they can come in and respond to a partner or respond to 2 different partners in their class. All right, so we've covered a lot of different templates and strategies. And just a reminder that all of the resources are in this slide deck. You'll click on the image and then you will be able to explore that resource in more detail. And there's a video to support you as well. And you have me. If there's any questions or you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so confused or I'm loving this, or how do I assign this using that learning management system using ClassView that you talked about, feel free to schedule a deeper dive with me. And I would be more than happy to walk you through any of those resources to support your classroom. And if you are wanting to try out Kami, feel free to also email me. I'm happy to send you a coupon code so that way you can have Kami to try out in your classroom to decide if it is a great fit for you or not. All of the resources can be found here at this link on this document. Again, reach out if you have questions. I loved learning and collaborating with you today.